We begin our journey with a single powerful word that shapes our reality: democracy. To understand it, we must look at its linguistic roots. The term comes from the Greek demos, meaning people, and kratos, meaning power. Literally, it is power to the people. But what does that mean in practice? It describes a system where citizens govern themselves. This is a profound shift from the default state of much of human history. It stands as the direct opposite of autocracy. In an autocracy, one voice dictates the fate of all. In a democracy, everyone has a voice in shaping their future. As we move through this hour, keep this fundamental contrast in mind: the difference between being a subject who obeys and a citizen who decides. If the people hold the power, where does the government fit in? This brings us to the concept of popular sovereignty. In this system, the government does not possess inherent power. Rather, government power comes directly from the people who grant permission to leaders. This is often called the consent of the governed. Think of it as a loan. We lend our power to leaders, but the contract has a cancellation clause. Citizens can withdraw that power through elections when leaders fail them. This mechanism, the ability to peacefully withdraw authority, is what keeps the government serving the people rather than the other way around. Now, how do we execute this power? We generally look at two models of democracy. First, there is direct democracy. This is the ancient model where everyone votes on every law, like ancient Athens gatherings. It is pure, but it has a logistical limit. In our modern world, we utilize representative democracy. Why? Because practicality dictates it. With populations reaching numbers like 330 million, we cannot all gather in the town square. Instead, we elect officials to make laws on our behalf. It is a system of delegation designed to make self-governance functional on a massive scale. A democracy cannot function on whims. It requires structure. That structure is the rule of law. This principle establishes a simple but radical idea: nobody is above the law. In this system, fair public laws apply equally to everyone, including presidents and prime ministers. No matter how high you rise, the law is higher. This legal framework protects society from tyranny whilst providing security and stability for all. Without this, power becomes arbitrary, and freedom becomes impossible. Where are these laws anchored? In the Constitution. This document functions as the supreme law of the land. You should view the Constitution not just as a historical artifact, but as an active instruction manual. It acts as the government's rulebook, outlining what leaders can and cannot do. It draws a line in the sand. Crucially, it protects the fundamental rights of every citizen from government overreach. It is the barrier that prevents the state from swallowing the individual. That barrier we just mentioned leads us to the philosophy of limited government. In a true democracy, power has boundaries. We do not give our leaders blank checks. The Constitution restricts government power to protect individual liberty and freedom. This restriction is vital for your daily life. It prevents intrusion into private lives. Essentially, your rights create a shield around you, a personal sovereignty that the government is legally forbidden to violate. To ensure this limitation of power, we employ the separation of powers. We engage in dividing authority so that no single entity holds all the cards. We split the government into three distinct branches. The legislative Congress makes laws, the executive president enforces them, and the judicial courts interprets them. Think of this structure like a three-legged stool. Each branch is essential to prevent tyranny. If one leg fails or grows too long, the stool topples. Balance is key. But these branches don't just sit side by side. They interact through checks and balances. This means each branch controls the others. Consider the mechanics. The president vetoes laws. Congress impeaches presidents. Courts declare laws unconstitutional. It is a constant tension. It is a brilliant system where power checks power, like an eternal game of strategy. This friction is intentional. It forces compromise and prevents any one leader from becoming a dictator. We also divide power vertically through federalism. This is the concept of shared power between levels. We have two levels of government working together to serve the people effectively. At the top, the federal level handles big picture issues like war, currency, treaties, and national defense. Locally, the state level manages your daily environment, schools, police, licenses, and local law enforcement. And in the middle, they share duties like taxes, courts, infrastructure, and public safety. Why do we build this complex machine? To protect individual rights. These are our fundamental freedoms. We are talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness protected by the Bill of Rights. These aren't gifts from the government. They are guarantees. These guaranteed freedoms cannot be taken away without just cause or due process. They include freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly. Let's drill down into the first of those freedoms, freedom of speech and press. This is the right to express without fear. It guarantees the right to voice opinions without censorship, even unpopular or critical views. Coupled with this is a free press. The press acts as democracy's watchdog, holding power accountable to citizens. Without a free press asking hard questions, democracy acts in the dark. Equally important is the freedom of religion. In a free society, faith is personal choice. The rule here is strict. The government cannot establish official religion or prevent you practicing any faith. This separation of church and state prevents religious persecution and protects belief. Whether you believe in one God, many gods, or no God at all, the state must remain neutral and let your conscience guide you. When the individual faces the state in a legal battle, we rely on due process. This means fair treatment guaranteed. The legal system must respect all rights, jury trials, lawyers, and no cruel punishment. The cornerstone of this system is the phrase, innocent until proven guilty. This presumption of innocence is the foundation of justice in a free society, ensuring that the government cannot simply imprison its enemies without proof. A democracy must also strive for equality under the law. Ideally, this means justice for all. Under the Equal Protection Clause, every citizen is treated the same regardless of race, gender, or wealth. It combats discrimination and bias. We must admit this is a goal we constantly strive to perfect together. It is an ongoing journey, but the legal framework provides the map. We often hear that democracy is majority rule, but it is actually majority rule, minority rights. It requires balance and protection. Yes, decisions are made by what most people want. However, the majority cannot crush minority rights. The Constitution protects the losing side from mob rule and tyranny. Just because you have the most votes doesn't mean you can take away the basic rights of the few. So what is your role in this? It starts with the importance of voting. You must believe that your voice matters. Voting is the primary way citizens participate, choose representatives, and hold leaders accountable. And do not overlook your own backyard. Local elections are just as important as national ones. Whether for president or school board, every vote counts. However, marking a ballot once a year isn't enough. We need civic participation. The truth is, democracy requires action. You must go beyond voting. This includes jury duty, paying taxes, attending town halls, protesting, petitioning government. Even social acts matter. Volunteering in your community strengthens the bonds that hold democracy together. A strong community makes for a strong democracy. For citizens to participate, they need to know what is happening. This requires accountability and transparency. We demand an open government. Officials must answer to the people with decisions open to public scrutiny. They cannot hide in the shadows. Furthermore, freedom of information fights corruption and builds trust in democratic institutions. When we can see the receipts, we can trust the transaction. This system is robust, but not invincible. We must face the challenges to democracy and the threats we face. Today, we battle voter apathy, misinformation campaigns, extreme polarization, and security versus privacy tensions. These are the poisons of the modern age. The antidote? Staying informed and engaged helps democracy survive these modern challenges. Ignorance is the enemy of freedom. We conclude where we began, with we the people. We must reflect on your role as a citizen. It is time to get in the game. We need you to stay informed, respect different viewpoints, and engage in civil discourse daily. Remember this final lesson. Democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires your active participation to thrive. It works only if you do. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the machinery of our freedom.